part. All right, so let me jump in. Welcome to this program, Align and Ignite. And before I jump into the program, you you have to hear the story behind it because I feel like everybody the stories kind of just paint the picture and the vision. And I think for you to know authentically like where this comes from is part of me. And so since I'm in charge, you get to learn about where it came from. And then we'll get into the first week and the content and how it's all going to roll, the agenda and what you can expect and all the things, all the details. But let me just kind of like take you back to give you a bit of a backstory. So, this original content that is now Align and Ignite was birthed out of the most difficult time in my life. So, um, to sum it up, and I won't go into all of the detail, but the year 2020 was a year of super significant, crazy changes, transitions. And so that was the year that started the difficult journey. And then it came through that difficult journey at the end is where this program came from, basically going through that and surviving that. So it involved things like winning a long custody battle, getting full custody of my children, purchasing my home, moving in right before COVID. So then of course March COVID happened. Then April of that year I turned 40, and it was recommended that I get my first mammogram, which meant that June I got a mammogram. They're like, we want to do a biopsy. Wasn't really worried because people were like, it's normal, biopsies are normal. It's probably nothing. Do the biopsy. Well, they said, well, go ahead on your vacation. I went on a month vacation. That was planned. Of course, it was COVID, so we didn't have anything else to do. Nobody was open. So took my kids to Kentucky for a month, spent that time with them, came back, then got the biopsy, then got the phone call. And the phone call was, oh, yes, you have cancer, but it's the best kind to have. And which was kind of a funny way to put it. But at the same time, like when I received that information, immediately there were some things going through my brain that influenced the way I was getting ready to walk through that next season. And then that it was began basically a 3-year journey of life that involved 100 doctor's appointments and 10 surgeries. I won't get into that story today. But that my beliefs about the world around me, about myself, and about cancer impacted everything that happened next. And so the first belief I had was I believe that God loves me. And I believe that if something is happening in my life, that it is happening for my good, or God will make good things come from it. And so there was this belief that everything is happening for me, even cancer. So the thing I believed about cancer was from the jump, I didn't believe it was going to be devastating or hard, I mean, obviously I knew it was going to be a hard season, but I didn't believe it was going to mean I would die or I would be terribly sick. And so every decision and every thought that really kind of followed in that season came from those beliefs. And so I say all that to say that um, after I was going through several years really of that, it took me from that point when I was diagnosed, it was 18 months later. And the January of 2022, I started writing. I started carving out 2 hours every Wednesday. I didn't know what I was going to write, but it was time to write. I had multiple people saying, you should write. You should write your story. Like you need to write this stuff down. And I never felt like I knew what to write or how to write. And so I kept putting it off. But that 18 months into this cancer journey season, I decided I'm going to write. And like I said, I would just show up at the computer, I'd block off 2 hours at a time, and I would write. And a lot of those writing sessions, I would then read out loud. And there was a lot of emotion looking at that season with my therapist. She basically was like, hey, you were actually healing. That was a healing process, what you were doing. You were writing about things, about trauma and different things, and then you were healing. And then at the end of that 6 months, it happened to be the very end of the 3-year journey. Um, so I guess it was actually further than that. It was 2023 that it took me that long to write because I remember it was 3 years from almost the time I was diagnosed. So it was 2023 that I started writing at the end of the 6 months. It was June. And I remember leaving the last doctor's appointment where my surgeon said, "You're good. You don't need to come back. We'll check you in a year, but we're done." And I remember like stepping out onto the elevator, going down to my car, just getting into my car and just sitting there. And it just felt like this thought was going through my brain, like, you just survived. You didn't just survive, you thrived through the most difficult thing that you've ever had to endure. And here you are on the other side. You are emotionally better than you were when you started. You are financially better than when you started. And you are spiritually more evolved than when you started. Like, what? That's remarkable. And I just had this pressure or this conviction that I have got to start giving this away and helping other people really think about their beliefs, dissect their beliefs, and come up with this a way to align so that they have more freedom and more joy and more hope during no matter what season it is, right? So that's kind of where it all came from. And thankfully for you, it's now been in the works, meaning I've been improving it, writing it, rewriting it, editing it, working with different groups with this program. And so it is now at this point where it's been working out the kinks 2.5 years. So now it's like this great, beautiful thing I'm very familiar with, and I'm able to just give so freely. So that is where it comes from. Okay. So with that, now I have a story. I have a story for you. Okay. So this story is about a woman named Alex who loved her old beat up pickup truck. Okay. She loved it. It was perfect for her. It was fabulous. It wasn't fancy, but it did get her from point A to point B, or at least it used to. Lately, though, every drive felt like a battle. The steering wheel kept pulling to the right, no matter how hard she gripped it. The tires squealed around corners, and the whole truck was shaking like it was about to fall off the highway or fall apart on the highway. But she ignored the warning signs at first, thinking, you know what, whatever, like it's fine. I don't really have time and money to fix this stuff. But one rainy evening, as she swerved to avoid a pothole, she nearly veered off the road. And that was truly her wake up call. She took the car to a local mechanic who diagnosed it straight away. Bad wheel alignment, lady. It's throwing everything off. Skeptical yet desperate, Alex let the man fix it. And the next day, when she hopped into the truck for a test drive, she's like, "Whoa, what an incredible difference!" The truck hugged the curves like it was on rails, steady and responsive, even when she slammed on the brakes for a sudden stoplight. No more white knuckling the wheel. She felt in control, like she could handle whatever the road threw at her. Puddles, traffic, or those unexpected detours life loves to spring on us. Well, as the miles ticked by, noticed that her tires weren't shredding like before. They wore evenly. They were lasting longer, which meant fewer trips to the shop and more cash in her pocket. It got her thinking about her own life, how she'd been burning through her energy on stuff that didn't matter, like endless scrolling or saying yes to every favor. Aligning her daily grind with what truly mattered to her family, relationships, her passion for art and creativity. Guess what? That left her with more pep, more joy, like her tires could finally go the distance without wearing thin. Then there was the gas gauge. Well, before she'd have to fill up twice a week, guzzling all this fuel because of the misaligned wheels that were creating the extra drag. Now she was stretching a tank further than ever, cruising efficiently. And it reminded her of a quote from a book that she'd read: "Life won't stop being messy, but you can stop letting every wave crash into you. So Alex started cutting out the energy suckers, the toxic habits, the pointless arguments. Instead, she started focusing on what fueled her to move forward. No more spinning her wheels, and she was getting more mileage out of every day. Under the hood, guess what? Things were smoother there too. The suspension wasn't taking a beating anymore. There were no creaks or strains from fighting against itself. Alex saw the parallel in her relationships. Her marriage had been feeling the pressure with overcommitting and untruthful agreements. She felt very spread thin, giving the worst of herself to the ones that mattered the most. And friendships fraying because she was too scattered to show up and be present. By realigning her schedule with her core values and putting her priorities in order, she strengthened those bonds, turning potential breakdowns into solid support systems. Finally, the big one, safety. With everything lined up, Alex now drove with confidence, knowing she wouldn't drift into danger. No more second guessing her path. She was pointed straight toward her dreams and achieving the goals that really mattered most. An incredible future that excited her. That certainty, it was priceless. From then on, Alex treated alignment like her secret weapon, not just for her truck, but for her life. Because when things are out of whack, the ride is rough and risky. But once you get them in sync, you are unstoppable, stable, and headed exactly where you want to go. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story about Alex because that is what I want for each and every one of you. I'm passionate, so very excited about creating this alignment. In the 2 decades that I've spent coaching entrepreneurs, most of them have been women. I've seen so many of them just going through the motions with guilt, thinking about kids while they're at work and work while they're with family, doubt, insecurity, feeling unbalanced, feeling unfulfilled. So, throughout these next 12 weeks, if you're open to it, I'll guide you through examining your values, goals, dreams, and the beliefs to make the needed adjustments. I'm not here with all the answers because I believe you already have them inside you. In the book, Think Again, Adam Grant says, our identities are open systems, and so are our lives. We don't have to stay tethered to old images of where we want to go or who we want to be. Proper alignment involves these things. Number one, identity. Who are you? What makes you unique? What is the purpose and the mission for your influence in the world? What on earth were you created to accomplish in your lifetime? Number two, clearly defined values, unique to you, uncovered through elicitation. As Shediac shares, when you act from your values, you activate pathways in the brain that are not dependent on external validation. And that is such a big one. You guys, I'll stop and get on a soapbox here because that need and that craving for external validation is why so many women and men really are looking for that next dopamine hit, whether it is scrolling, getting a like, getting a yes, getting a message, or saying yes to something, an attempt to get that external validation and to have something like that in our lives. So once we have that clarity around those values, then it's going to break the cycle of seeking worth outside yourself, right? Then at number three, we will definitely take a look at some goals, setting goals that align with your values, and of course, dreams, right? So goals, dream, we'll kind of talk about what's the difference between all those things. And so we can clearly identify your aspirations and pick the goals, check for alignment, make sure that those do align so that you're getting the things done that really are most important to you. Four, we'll go through some tools that will give you energy and purposefully allow you to get where you want to be successfully. So this will be managing your time, managing your energy, learning about boundaries, setting them, keeping them, maintaining them, and just really overall your well-being, emotional, mentally, and physically. And lastly, we will break those limiting beliefs because, like I identified in the beginning of my cancer diagnosis, those beliefs determined everything else. And so the beliefs can repattern what is now keeping you stuck. Okay. Grant also reminds us that we don't just hesitate to rethink our answers. We hesitate at the very idea of rethinking. So instead, I'm going to help you rethink because here's what I truly believe. I am where I am today because of the beliefs that I have or how I've allowed other people to influence the beliefs that I have about myself, about the world around me, and about my relationships. So, the good news is that if I don't like where I am in any of my environments, whether it's in my home life, my financial world, my work world, my career, my friendships, romantic relationships, whatever, if I don't like where I am, guess what? I'm the one that can choose a different belief. And when I do, and I keep rewiring and changing what I'm thinking, I'm going to surely end up somewhere different on purpose. Okay. Now, before we get into the workbook, I wanted to show you there is a visual, and there's two icons that I've picked for this, and that's the align and ignite. The first icon is a star. Okay. So this week we're really going to talk about what is a star? Why did I pick a star? And I'm really big on those visualizations. If you know me, you know I have lots of tattoos. And after the second one, by the third one, I realized these to be like really significant, not just like silly little things on my body. So they're very significant. And so I think it's important to have like a visualization, like an actual little icon of like, what does this look like or what does this represent? So the first one is a star and it represents the North Star. Okay. And I don't know if you've ever studied anything about the North Star, but it is literally the ultimate symbol of alignment. So let me tell you why. So the North Star, also called the Polaris, is one star. It's the one star that does not move in the night sky. For thousands of years, sailors, explorers, and travelers navigated by Polaris because every other star appears to rotate around it. It always stays fixed in the same spot. It marks true north. Now, why does that matter? It matters for alignment because you don't follow what is changing if you're the North Star. You orient yourself by what is stable, grounded, and constant. Your inner compass is your Polaris. That is your values, your intuition, and your specific purpose. Everything else moves around you. Okay. Number two, the reason this matters is alignment happens because of physics, not force. Polaris gives direction due to the Earth's natural rotation and tilt, not because anyone pulls on it. This mirrors personal alignment. You don't force momentum, you align with your internal truth, and direction becomes clear. Movement forward becomes natural, not pressured. Nature shows us this. Clarity emerges from orientation, not effort. I'm going to say that again. Clarity emerges from orientation, not effort. That's why so many people feel like they're spinning their wheels and they're not getting where they want to be. It's because they are. They're trying to force something. Number three, the North Star is magnetic. Literally, Polaris is close to the celestial North Pole, the same axis related to the Earth's magnetic fields. And magnetic fields are about orientation, attraction, flow, staying on course. This is where magnetic momentum becomes a natural law, not a metaphor. When you're oriented, you start attracting aligned opportunities. You repel what doesn't match your direction. You move forward steadily without wasting energy, just like a compass needle can only point north. Your intuition is wired to point you towards your best next step. Okay. Number four, nature uses intuition like navigation all the time. Okay, so if you look at birds, you look at whales, you look at butterflies, turtles, they're using magnetic alignment to navigate thousands of miles away. Y'all, they don't have a Google Maps. They don't have a GPS telling them like turn like go this way. They're not using any of that. You know what they use? They rely on their instinct, their internal sensing. The Earth's natural cues, subtle energy fields, they don't question themselves. They trust their built-in guidance system. You guys, we have the same capacity, but we override it. You know, we override it with overthinking, fear, comparison, pressure, right? But when you lean into your gut, you're returning to a natural form of navigation that all living beings use. That's why when we're going to create something called an identity board in this program. And that is why in the very center of your board, I'm asking you to put a picture of just you at the purest age of like 3 or 4 years old. Because that is before you learned all this other stuff. That's before you learned how to do the comparison game, before you gave into fear and pressure, and before you started overthinking things because you were so distracted, right? So I love it. And number 5, Polaris guides even when it's unseen. On cloudy nights, travelers still held their course because they trusted the direction, even if they couldn't see the star in that moment. That's faith plus alignment and action. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take that next step, right? That's Martin Luther King. Just take the next directional cue. And then momentum builds from you trusting that, trusting yourself, trusting your alignment, trusting that you are taking that next best step. And lastly, number 6, the North Star is also symbolic of destiny and purpose across cultures. Cross cultures, Polaris represents a guiding light, a calling, a path, your inner wisdom, divine direction, steadfastness. It reminds us that direction is always available. We just need to pause and align with it. In short, the North Star teaches that alignment is natural, magnetic, and intuitive. You simply orient yourself toward what doesn't move, your truth. You don't chase, you align, and momentum follows. So I hope that you love that analogy of the North Star. And yes, you probably guessed it. I don't have a North Star yet, but I am going to get one. That's like my next tattoo. I promise. It's going to be great. All right. So jumping into your workbook, which I think is just the best next place to go. Once you take a look at that, you're going to see there are some questions for this first week for you to get into. And they just really help you do some soul searching about yourself, where you're at, like kind of what's going on in your world right now. There'll be some questions to kind of ponder. And of course, if you are doing some coaching with me, then we will cover these question answers together. So the first one is, what is a goal, career or personal, that you just feel has eluded you? You maybe you achieved it, but you haven't been able to sustain it, or you've never been able to achieve it. And then you get to process like, what that is, okay? And then the next few questions are going to be just celebrating you, your unique identity, what makes you you. So there'll be words and phrases that describe you, your top strengths, and what is one very significant life event that you have experienced that's made you stronger and how? Number 4, if you could teach the next generation. So think about the young people around you, whether you have children or grandchildren, nieces or nephews, or even just younger people you're mentoring. What is something that you would really want them to take away from you and learning from you? So that is going to be your first week. We are kind of move slow. If you feel like you're anxious to move forward, I mean, you always can. But I feel like just let the stuff sink in and really kind of take your time and think about things. And you can always rewatch the video and have this around so that you can really have the full impact. So I'm going to finish us off today with a fun quote. I don't know if you guys are fans of Dr. Seuss, but I love Dr. Seuss. And let me see if I can find the Seuss that I love. And it goes like this: Today you are you, that is truer than true, and there is no one alive who is youer than you. So I'm saying congratulations on beginning this journey with me. And I'm just proud of you for making the time and attention so that you can align with the true you and really